I just got home from a walk and my Barnes & Noble order is finally here, and I'm very excited for this order to show you guys what I got, and also very excited to do this video finally. I can never find the scissors when I need them. Okay, the very much long awaited. You guys, I genuinely did not think I was gonna like this show. And I did watch the show before I'm gonna read this because I honestly had never even heard of it until it became a show. I heard so many good things about it and I was like, no, I don't think this show is gonna be my thing. I tried it out on a whim. OMG. Obsessed with this show. It's probably one of my favorite love stories now. I'm not a huge fan of hockey, but I really appreciate that in this show, and I'm assuming the book is kind of the same way, that hockey is more of the setting. It's not the plot. And I really love that because we all know what the plot is and nobody wanted a hockey show or a hockey book. We wanted gay romance. I'm obsessed with Ilya and Shane. I love Connor Story and Hudson Williams so much. I think that they are fantastic actors and I can't wait to see what else they do outside of Heated Rivalry. But in the meantime, before season 2 comes out, I'm reading this. I also did order the second part of their story. I think their book is called The Long Game. It's like book 6 in this series, but the second part of them, because I really only want to read about Shane and Ilya's story for now. If I like the author, maybe I'll go to the other love stories in the series. That book I did order at the same time as this, but for some reason it's getting shipped separate, so I will have to update you guys when I get book 2 in, but that will be a separate video for this type of vlog. I also got the collector's edition of The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. This is such a cool copy. It has really cool like bloodstained sprayed edges. And this edition has the drawings of the various court scenes in it. So I really wanted this because I've been wanting to read this book and Barnes & Noble was doing their 50% off of hardcovers. So I was like, yeah, I might as well get it. Heated Rivalry and some good heterosexual murder. Yeah, it sounds like a great pairing. But join me as I read Heated Rivalry. We will get to The Perfect Marriage in a different video. Right now, this one is all about the boys. Okay, so I have been reading a bunch and loving it so far, and I just got to part 2, which is chapter 9, page 105. Right now, we're at the part in the story, which I don't want to give any spoilers, but if you've seen the show or you've read it, Shane just won the hockey award in Vegas, so they had like the whole like rooftop scene. And then from that moment in 2011, it jumps forward all the way to 2013. So one of my favorite parts of the show, and then also the book, is just that their love story takes place over such a long period of time. And I am not a big slow burn romance person, but with this being a gay relationship between 2 all-star hockey players, I just think it's more realistic that it did take them so long to admit their feelings for each other and confront those feelings. And then, you know, eventually towards the end, we have them sort of coming out to Shane's family, but still having to navigate how they're going to be professional NHL players and lovers. So even though it's sad that their love story takes place so slowly and over such a long period of time, I think it's more realistic and it makes it more beautiful and like worth it at the end. But what I'm really liking is that the book is very similar to the show, like almost exactly the same. I think that the creator of the show did such a good job, and you can tell that they really cared about the integrity of the book and making the characters so accurate. Like the casting is insane. I did not know that they were gonna be so similar in the book. I just think that the casting was fantastic. I'm obsessed with the cast, and I love that it does match the book because obviously these are very well loved. But I really like that the show took direct lines from the book. Like I'm giggling and like kicking my feet reading it because I remember what the scene was when these things are being said, and it's the exact same. So I love that. I also just feel like too, like if a book has really good dialogue, don't change it for a show or a movie. Like if you're already striking gold why would you need to change it? So great job to the show for that, and great job to the author, because obviously it's great writing. For it being a sports romance, which is also something that I'm not into really, it's really beautiful writing. And this is a difficult situation for these two men trying to figure out their wants and needs while also having a lot of shame in the culture that they're a part of. So even though it might seem like it's not a serious story, it actually is, and I think it's really beautiful. This has such good diversity and inclusion in it, with race, with sexuality, with differences in cultures and different country dynamics. And so I think a lot of people can find solace in this book and feel really seen and valued by it, which I think is super nice. The book has a little bit more hockey in it than the show, just because the show is so cinematic. In the book, we're having a little bit more of detailed explanations for the hockey games and the different plays. So if you're a hockey person, you'll probably like the book a little bit more than the show, but cinematically, the show is so good. The plot is these boys. Also, I didn't even point out my shirt. Look at this. This beauty for my birthday. Thank you, Mother. I love when my parents feed into my latest obsessions, and I love having the shirt so that I can wear it while I'm reading one of my favorite love stories. Come here. Come on. Come here. Come on. Yes. Everything's right once you're in the video. Okay, everybody, we have finally finished Heated Rivalry, and it was so perfect and delicious and romantic, and there was just so much yearning, but I feel like it has such a satisfying conclusion that it makes the slow burn of their romance so believable and so worth it, and just everything that you could want and more. Watching the show first, I didn't think that I was going to like the book as much, just because once I started reading it, I realized that it is exactly like the show. So I thought, you know, since I already know what happens from the TV series, that it wouldn't be as entertaining for me reading it all over again in the book, but it was. I think it's so awesome that the book and the show are similar, because then fans can feel like it hasn't been changed for them. But something about reading it in the book was so nice, because you're actually seeing their thoughts on the pages and you feel like you're connecting to the characters a little bit more. But the actors are so phenomenal in the show that I feel like their portrayal of this romance is so descriptive, and they have really good face acting and just great acting overall. So I feel like you can hear their thoughts in the show even though they're not there. But yeah, 10 out of 10. This is my first 5-star read of the year. And to say that I wasn't expecting that would be a lie, because of how much I loved the show. But I'm so glad that the book lives up to the hype as well. And I really truly understand why this was turned into a TV show, because it's great. I'm so excited to read the next one, which I already have, like I talked about at the beginning of this video. So that will be another vlog coming out in the next couple of months, because I am in dire need of season 2 of Heated Rivalry, and I think I want to try to read that book before the second season comes out, so that way I can experience reading the book before seeing the show version. I wanted to talk about some honorable mentions from my time reading it, including a couple of my favorite book pages and passages. So one of my favorite parts is when Shane and Ilya are on the phone and Shane tells him, just say everything that you're trying to say to me, but say it in Russian, because then you won't have to worry about trying to translate it into English, and you'll just say what you're feeling. Which I love Shane for that so much, because he literally sits there and has no idea what Ilya is saying to him, and he is still just so mesmerized by his native language and also the passion that he has in his voice, that even if he doesn't know what he's talking about, he still feels so drawn to him and wants Ilya to express himself, even if that means that he can't necessarily converse with him through that. It's so beautiful. But after, when Ilya is reflecting on it, he's like, I hope that Shane doesn't somehow translate everything I said, because then he would know that I said, on top of everything, I'm pretty sure I'm in love with you and I don't know what to do about it. And I just love it because Ilya is the more like aggressive, brute, masculine of the two of them, and he's the first one to admit that he's in love with Shane, both personally to himself and then actually out loud to Shane. And I love that dynamic. And then another part that I love is on page 297, so near the end of the book, when Shane and Ilya are at the cottage, which is obviously the best episode of the show and obviously the best section of the book. It's just so amazing. I love that time period that they share together, and it's so fulfilling for us as readers, but also because you get connected to the boys, you just are so happy for them that they finally can be together, even if it's in like a secluded way, like being on vacation with one another at the cottage. But this section is when Shane is telling Ilya not to marry Svetlana or anybody to get citizenship, because obviously he wants to marry him. And Ilya is talking about all of the women that he has obviously been with, because he's a ladies' man. And he says, yes, listen, these women, they are so sexy and fun, but it doesn't matter. I can't stop thinking about this short, I'm not gonna cuss, this short hockey player with these stupid freckles and a weak backhand. And Shane's like, a weak backhand? And Ilya says yes, and he's just so boring and he drives a terrible car, and that is my problem. All of these beautiful women, and I'm always wishing they were him. And Shane says, do you want that problem to go away? And Ilya says, no, I do not want that problem to ever go away. And I just love them. I also wanted to point out one of my favorite parts of the show and the book, so just the series in general, which is how the women in this series are portrayed. I think it's so beautiful, and obviously this book is written by a woman, but the show was produced by a man, and so I'm glad that they kept that dynamic of the women to the male characters when they translated the book into the show. And I want to give credit to the TikTok account that I saw this from. Her name is Nelly, and it was just so true, everything that she said, that I had to include it in this video, because I think it is why myself and so many women are connecting to this show. So even though Heated Rivalry doesn't even pass the Bechdel test, there is such positive women role models in this series. To start off with Rose, she's just a supportive girlfriend, and then she becomes a supportive friend, and without taking anything personally, she sees Shane for who he is and supports him regardless of her personal feelings that she feels for him. She notices that he's struggling, she offers a supportive ear for him to vent to, and she stays in his life even after they break up, because she knows that it's not personal that he doesn't want to be with her. He's in love with somebody else and he can't come out of the closet yet. So I just love her. I think they casted her so great in the show as well. I love that actress. And then you have Svetlana, and for Ilya, this is a very close personal relationship because I think it reminds him of home, but in a safer way. She's really the only family that he ever has, even though they're not related, and she's not even really his girlfriend. She's more of just somebody in the hockey world that he can trust, that is also Russian and not judgmental. And I think that she knows something is off about him in terms of who he truly wants to be with. I don't know if she knows 100% that he is bisexual or wanting to be with a man, but she knows that he is in love with someone else, and instead of making him feel bad about it, she just continues to support him. She is a little bit more present in the show than in the book, so I really liked that. I loved the casting once again for her character, and I liked that you saw more of her and Ilya's dynamic in the show versus the book. And then you have, most importantly, Yuna, who is Shane's mom, and Shane is so shameful about his sexuality, and in terms of coming out to his parents, I think he thinks that from his mom's ancestry she's not going to accept him, and then also because of how closely ingrained they are in the hockey world, that her and his father won't accept him. But when his mom realizes that, she apologizes and takes accountability and is like, like, hey, even though I love managing you and your career and I'm so invested in your hockey career, I am invested in you, you're my son, and I accept you, and I will love who you love no matter what. And I just thought that was so beautiful, because not every family dynamic is super open to a child coming out, but a lot are. And so I like that this was kind of a middle ground where we're not really sure how his parents are going to react, but ultimately they accept him, and it's so nice, and it doesn't feel forced, it doesn't feel like unnecessary fluff, it's just really sweet and real. I love this slide specifically that this TikTok creator Nelly put in her TikTok. It says, the women weren't written as barriers to the love story. They were written as emotionally intelligent people. They were written as friends and family who support them. And I just think that that's so beautiful, because oftentimes with romance books, we have these tropes of barriers to the love story. And, you know, sometimes these people let their personal feelings get involved, which is a part of human nature. But I like that for the sake of this story, the women in general weren't seen as a barrier. They were actually seen as people who propelled these men forward into becoming the best versions of themselves and helping them to eventually be together completely. So once again, overall, I gave this 5 stars. I would say that the plot is a solid 5 stars, the romance is a solid 5 stars, and this is a very spicy book. It is a lot of detail, a lot of open door romance, so I would give it a 5 on the spice meter too. It personally wasn't too much for me. I think it's such a beautiful story, and the spice is a huge part to their connection and then what they build from that. So it's kind of necessary to the story. I hope that you give Heated Rivalry a chance, and stay tuned for my next video on their second book, which is called The Long Game. But thank you guys so much for watching, and never forget these beautiful men.